Greetings, I'm Reverend John O'Toole. Here we are up for another interesting fairy reading. Now, if you're following this series, or if you're just starting, I'm just going to remind you, this is a reading for you. How could that be? I have no idea. All I do is interpret the information and the energy, and you get to see me make a fool of myself talking about fairies. I can't think of a better thing to do for 28 minutes. Can you? Maybe a ball game. Wouldn't it be nice to go to a ball game? Well, they're coming back, hopefully. So, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, are you thinking about a question? You're probably not thinking about the question that the cards are going to read up today. But who knows, I might say something that's interesting and resonates with you. And if it doesn't this time, maybe it does the next time. Or check some of my other ones. This is episode 25. You have 25 chances to get something out of one of my sessions. So, one of the things we'd like to do is for you to figure out who your fairy is. Now, you don't necessarily have to identify your fairy. You may not even wish to. And the last thing people like to think is there's someone else looking at them. Well, people spend on their smartphones, they gotta be getting used to having people spy on them. But your fairy's not a spy, it's just a friend. And sometimes your friend will take on some kind of form. It might be an animal, it could be a stuffed animal, or a stuffed creature of sorts. It could be some kind of a creature. It could be some kind of human form. It could just be energy. Most of the time, I see energy. It's far easier for them to move around if I don't try to put form on them. The only times I put form is when someone says, "Can you tell me what my fairy looks like?" And then I have to see if I can see that or feel that. It all comes through in the mind's eye. So, just for a brief second, have you thought about your fairy yet? Picture him on here. What do you think? Have you seen them yet? Maybe they're bees. Maybe you do honey, so you're surrounded by bees and one of those, and that's kind of an element of the fairy realm. Or maybe you do some other things. Now, I don't necessarily think cats are fairies. I'm pretty sure they would agree with me if you could ask them. The feline world is a whole other ball game. And you can tell that just by watching their attitude. So what I'm going to do is shuffle up the cards. Oops, and I am not going to do 52 pickup. There was a movie on last night which I didn't really finish watching because I was bored, called 52 Pickup. Had a guy from that played Officer Brody from the Jaws, Roy Schneider was starring in it, and I kind of got bored with it, which I often do. But the movie doesn't really get me interested in it in the first 5 or 10 minutes. I usually just go on to another one. But that's just me. So I am going to mix them up best I can, if it really matters whether I mix them up or not. So the thing we want to look at when I put the cards up is what their orientation is, on whether they are vertical or reverse vertical. So like, for example, See if I can find one like this one here. That's a vertical card. And then if it was upside down, that'd be this card. Oh, you know, the last time we were chatting, I said that there was a card in here that looked like me. Oddly enough, it just showed up on the bottom. Do you want to see it? Do I dare? Do I dare? This one. Does this look at all like me? Or is that too personal a question? Yes, my beard used to be red. He has a red beard. My hair was black though, and my beard was red. Don't know why. Any more details than that, you're gonna have to ask me in person. But I digress. So, we're gonna pull out 5 cards, maybe 6. I'm feeling like a 6 day. And then we're gonna read the energy and see how they fit together. Does that sound like fun? What do you think? Well, let's give it a try. So, do we want to pull the one off the top of the deck? I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to it. But I don't know what the card is on the top of the deck. I'm going to do that one. And I'm going to poke through the deck. And I'm going to do this one. And then I'm going to poke through the deck some more. And we're going to do this one. Hey, have you noticed that the last 2 videos at the title page has the cards that get pulled in the video? Something new that I've been doing. I don't know if I'll keep that up or not. But I wonder, because nobody's commented about it. And I think that they would. Maybe they just think that I'm using some random picture for the cover. We have 4, and we're going to do one more. We could wait and pull the last card if we have time. But I'm going to give this one a whirl. Okay, what do you think? Okay, so I'm going to pull one more card. There we go. Now try to notice the orientation. Now, I'm not being sponsored any, of course, for this video by anybody. I like this particular card deck. This card deck resonates with me. If you have other cards, decks that you like better, then those are the cards you should use. So I'm using the Fairy Oracle book from Brian Froud. And Jessica Macbeth does the text. And it's a pretty cool book. It's worth a read. And if you got together with some friends, you can do a reading among your friends. And if you do other fairy decks or other tarot decks, you can do that also with your friends. Or just yourself. Which card should we go first with? I'm thinking this one here. Ooh, death. Dun dun dun. I don't have any Number 53. Death came up this way, which was vertical for all of us. There you go. I'm going to put the card over here for you to look at. stand. See how that works. It looks pretty good. Number 53. I have a little cheat sheet that I use. So number 53, death. People always panic when they see that card. Now, every tarot guy, I think, has a death card in it. It doesn't mean death. It doesn't mean you're going to die. It means transformation. Natural and timely endings. Release and liberation. Well, isn't that cool? I think it's cool. It's kind of exciting. If it was reversed, it'd be change is being blocked by clinging on to old habits. Or old things. So that means that most of us out there right now are ready to move on. And believe me, the way the last year has been, this is going into April. April will be tomorrow. April Fool's Day is tomorrow. That actually this is a good day to do a reading, don't you think? And moving on to something more interesting and fun. Because this last year has not been fun. Well, let's try the first card we pulled. See what that card is. Trying to remember the orientation. Iris of the Rainbow. Now this one here, gotta grab this one, put it over here. Iris of the Rainbow is a very pretty card. Here we go. Very pretty indeed. Iris of the Rainbow. So she's surrounded by a number of fairies. You could actually see the card in detail up close. And I don't know if the camera is going to get the details of the card. But there's a lot of fairies on this card. There's of course the one in the middle. But then there are a bunch of them around her. On the bottom and on the sides, on top. It's very interesting indeed. Of course, I don't remember the number. The number is 32 or 52. Nope, 32. There you go. 32. Iris of the Rainbows. Rainbows, not just rainbow. Remember those? Remember sometimes you get to see a whole bunch of rainbows in the same sky? It's very unique, but you see them. Very unique indeed. Has to be just the right thing. And how was that? Now we remember what it was like. Was it upside down or was it vertical? Boy, I don't have a very good memory for short time memory, do I? 32. Hopes, promises for the future. In reverse, it's hope, prayer, and faith may be needed. Well, they're actually very similar in either direction. Hope, promise, future. Hope and promise for the future. Now that's very interesting, considering that the card before it was the death one, which was the time for change and moving past clinging on to old things, moving past the clinging on to old things. Now, if we remember the first week, it was about trust. And then what was last week about? I don't quite remember. But I bet it was a stepping stone to this week. We would have to go back and look, or somebody at home could be like stopping the video and going over and checking on YouTube on what it was and saying, hey, I think he's right about that. I am going to go to the middle card. Now this one's in reverse. Remember I said that. List of the Shadows, number 44. List of the Shadows. Interesting card indeed. Find the right light. List of the Shadows. Healing the shadows, addictions, bondage, and self-esteem. But this card was in reverse. Yeah, it was. I was even paying attention this time. Additions, compulsive and self-destructive behavior. Well, that doesn't sound much better than the first version. List of the Shadows. Healing the shadows. Addiction and bondage and self-esteem. But the reverse is addictions, again. Compulsive and self-destructive behavior. Now sometimes when we're trying to move forward into some new realm, to new projects or a new reality, our shadows come through. Like for example today, you know I have a low salt diet. I pulled into McDonald's today to get my unsweetened iced tea, and I wanted 2 apple pies because 2 apple pies is safe for me, believe it or not. It's the lowest in carbs, lowest in sugar, and really low in salt. They didn't have one. I kept looking at the filet-o fish because I would really love a filet-o fish. I looked at that, I looked at the French fries, I looked at a single hamburger, and I go, you know, some things you can't undo. It's just not worth it. So I just had my tea and left. And that is an old shadow. It's an old compulsion. It's an old addiction. My addiction to salt is very aggressive, and I really have to be conscious about it at all times. It is too easy. It's easier for me to avoid sugar than it is salt. So at home, I have it as safe as I possibly can. I could find a bag of salt somewhere and put it on my food, but it's difficult. And the more difficult it is, the better. So, like I just discovered that onion powder, instead of minced onion, adds some nice flavor to things without the salt. But totally out the wall discussion. But is it really? How easy it is for us to reach for something that's easy. I love popcorn. I don't put salt on popcorn. Sometimes I'll sprinkle some cinnamon on it or some sugar. I shouldn't put sugar on the popcorn. So I have to be careful about that. So, the addiction part makes sense. Well, either way the card is, but this is in reverse. Addictions, compulsives, and self-destruction behavior will follow us to the next reality. And we have to be aware that that exists. So we'll put that one like that. Well, let's go to this card. Second card we drew. Number 38. Last Moon's Daughter. It's a very pretty card. Now, granted, I seem to say certain cards are more prettier than others. Hey, what can I say? Remember the card that looked like me? That was pretty pretty. Can't say a lot about that one either. And do we remember the card number? No, of course we didn't. Number 38. In case you're following at home. Oops. 38 just flew off the pedestal. Twice. Kind of odd thing, isn't it? Twice. Was that one in reverse? I don't remember. I got so distracted. Last the Moon Daughter. I think it was a vertical card. I think I was looking at it upside down. So, Last the Moon Daughter. Emotional needs are not met. So this is back to what we're talking about. Now, some might say that my previous comments about this card being particularly pretty and other cards that are particularly pretty falls under this category. There's no reason why some of these cards may not be a reflection on me personally, even though this reading is primarily for you. But you can understand where the energy's coming from. Certain pictures are more interesting to me than others, then that applies to you also. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no guilt that should be given, no shame that should be given about it. It's just a reality that we look at things and we say, wow. It's like looking at a tree, and if it's boring, it's boring. And if another tree looks really interesting and exciting, it's interesting and exciting. It's the way it is. It's no more different than we do when we look at art or pictures or other people. Yeah, we're going to be aware of these things as we're moving forward. We shouldn't put shame upon ourselves. We shouldn't put guilt upon ourselves. We should be aware of it. We should be aware of it and not necessarily flaunt it with other people. Well, that's very true for me, and I'm sure it's very true for you. Particularly the fact that most of us have been in lockdown for the last year at least. This is April, whatever lockdown is, but, even when you're out working because you have to work, you're shielding yourself, You're out there seeing people you can't hug. You have to do this elbow thing now. You can't even shake hands with people anymore. Everybody's isolated and they're missing that human connection. Oh, it's so freaky if you actually show any kind of affection to people out there in the open. Epona's Wild Daughter. Number 54. It's a very pretty card indeed. Do I dare tell you that I think this card is pretty? And that's that one. Very pretty card. Epona's Wild Daughter. Inner shadows, nightmare, depression and madness and growth. But this one was in reverse. Number Growth is being blocked by clinging on to old habits or things. What do your nightmares tell you? I had some kind of weird dream last night. I'm also playing murder mysteries from TV. And, yeah. And those are the ones that I'm sleeping with. So I'm surprised that I don't wake up in nightmares all the time. Growth is being blocked. So here we are. We're on a stage. You know, we can look at these shows as a way of helping to move along from one place to another. So the death card has given us movement into a new realm, to new possibilities, to move on from where we have been stuck for the last year or maybe 50 years. So the last card is the Solace card, which unfortunately was in reverse also, which is number 13. And that's this card right here. It's a very nice card, a very empowering card. I'm going to put that over here for all you to look at. And which was in reverse. If it was a vertical card, it would be knowledge, consciousness, synthesis, and spiritual empowerment. But the Singer card is there to help seemingly lost causes and hopes. Are you a lost cause and hopes? Am I? I don't think so. We're doing something better with ourselves, and we're gonna have to wait till the next episode to see where we're going from this. In the meantime, the fairies speak for you.